Hello and welcome back to the Sekimeiya Spun glass. Last time around we went through quite a lot of revelations, plot twists and the like, and we ended up facing ourselves, technically. It's mentioned as Atsuki B. Suddenly, a head appeared from around the partition's corridor. When we looked at each other, the three of us froze, everyone equally shocked. What the fuck? It was Atsuki, a body identical to him, with his face and clothes, who had been waiting by the door to the partitions. He looked at himself, speechless and without moving an inch. Hey, answer me. You really were here. Are you really me? What the fuck is going on? For him, it must have been a surreal shock, but I looked at the bizarre scene with just as much confusion. Were there three versions of Atsuki in the building at once? Finally, the person in front of us spoke. I didn't think you'd be here. What? What does that mean? You're me, right? I am. What the fuck is happening then? I thought it was impossible that we'd see each other. Was that wrong? In a way, yes. What the fuck? Tell me then. What's going on? How the fuck can you even exist? While I had no idea of how to interpret the scene, it was clear the Atsuki we'd bumped into had a higher understanding of what was happening. It didn't seem he'd found my existence strange either. And we actually see Mia there for the first time in the present, her hair at least. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to answer that question. What? I know exactly how you feel, I promise. I will tell you one thing though, since we've already met. You shouldn't worry about anything. I shouldn't worry? There's no way you're actually me, right? I am. I promise. It will all be fine. What? How can you tell? And how would that even be possible? I know how it sounds, but I genuinely don't have time to explain, and I'm not sure I could. What does that even mean? Look, we're the same person. Just trust me, or yourself, on this. Sincerely, everything should turn out fine. Those words almost broke the person at my side. He'd been told by himself that there was nothing to fear. You believe me, right? Like I said, I don't have much time. Emotional Atsuki nodded. But that can't be the case. Shiria died again. Again? What do you mean? Did you not know that? She was killed here and her body disappeared from the lobby. The other Atsuki looked confused and deep in thought. You should believe what I say. I still don't fully understand how that works, but you have to trust me. You can't explain it? Then there's no way you're actually telling the truth, right? I am. While I can't be fully confident about what I'm saying, I'll just ask you to believe me. Okay. Good. I suppose there's one thing you could do then. What? Wait here a second. He disappeared from where he'd come after giving an intense gaze. I was right next to them, but I felt more distant than ever before. Was that a future version of you? I have no idea. Then, is that true? Will Shiria be alright? I don't know. I thought I'd try to use the Sekimeiya a bit later and go a few hours to the past. That wouldn't be enough, but if I managed to keep doing that, that's the only idea I had. But I didn't even know if the Sekimeiya would work again. I see. Whoever that was, we have to put all our faith in him. Yeah. He soon came back running. Between his hands was the Sekimeiya. It seemed like it might have teleported to the attic that time. Uh-huh. Take this, but don't touch it. Atsuki handed himself the Sekimeiya and received it, hiding his hands under his sleeves. You two should hurry back down. On the second floor, enter the second partition. Leave the Sekimeiya on the floor and wait there. On the second floor? Yes. From there, if anyone passes by, you should hear them. If you hear the elevator 4 times, you can go back down and place the Sekimeiya in its cabinet. Make sure that it isn't activated again. However, it's possible that the first time, instead of hearing the elevator, you'll hear someone running up. If that happens, once you hear the elevator 2 times, you can go down and place the Sekimeiya in the cabinet. Okay, and after that, you're saying everything will be fine, right? Yes. Wait patiently with everyone on the crystal floor and make sure to get out safely. I'll pray with you for what will happen after that. Oh, alright. Atsuki turned around and ran back, putting all his faith in himself. As he did, the second Atsuki pierced me with his eyes. Goodbye, Mia. In front of me, I saw a look I knew I'd seen before that day. However, he quickly turned it away from me, glancing downward. Goodbye. Almost in a curious manner, I responded with only one word. Then I turned around and started sprinting. I think what that signifies was an actual goodbye, in the sense that goodbye, Mia, will return to the original timeline. You will die. That kind of goodbye. Atsuki and I ran all the way down until we reached the second floor. Out of breath, he held the door to the partitions open, and we entered the second one. He placed the Sekimeiya on the floor as instructed and stepped away from it. There's no way this can work, whatever's about to happen. Why not? He didn't know she had died again. I had the idea that she could be saved by going to the past and hiding her since she wasn't found, but doesn't this mean that she'll end up here and be killed? Well, whoever that Atsuki was, he knew more than we do, and when you told him we'd found her dead, he still said it would be fine. That's true. Her body disappeared from the lobby even though we still remember it. Maybe that's what indicates the past will be changed so that she doesn't die here either. Would it work like this? It might. The proof that she's dead doesn't exist anymore. He can't just be a future self of mine. That wouldn't make any sense. The way he came to exist might be how he'll try to save Shiria, but I have no idea what it could be. I heard a faint, deep sound. It's the elevator, right? This is the first time. Yeah, he said that he didn't have much time and was right in saying that the elevator would be used. So we have to hear it 3 more times until we can leave. The second time came immediately. Oh, it went through twice because it was called and then used. Where should the elevator have been? It was in the attic the last time I checked, from the time I went there. If that was still the case, someone just went up. That must be it. It's what he said, that either the elevator would be heard twice or that someone would run up. So he knew someone would go to the attic, but not how. And at some point it will happen again. We're supposed to hear the elevator 2 more times. That means it'll end up in the attic again. If you're saying that wasn't a future version of you, how is it possible he knew all this? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, does it? The flow of time wouldn't work like that. It's impossible. Also, he told us to wait safely and get out of the tower. There's no way I'll be able to use the Sekimeiya once we're outside, and that still wouldn't make any sense. Nothing does. He's right, but she's on the crystal floor alongside a third Atsuki. It can't be that the world was changed so that she never died though, since that Atsuki was surprised to see her too. One of them was probably who went up to the attic, but what will come out of this? Will different versions of us remain? Atsuki didn't make it sound like that. I should have been dead. Why? I should be dead. Atsuki was right, I should be. But I'm not. It can't be they were talking about that, can it? The answer had to revolve around the Sekimeiya's disappearance. Maybe whenever that occurred, changes made were applied to the world. It had teleported to the attic, so if nothing else happened, the state of the world would stay as it was. But there were so many things to iron out. 3 Atsukis existed at once. She had appeared out of nowhere in front of one of them. Not all the disappeared corpses had reappeared alive. Was everything really going to resolve itself if we buried our heads in the sand until we could leave the building? The Sekimeiya was in the attic. Did it teleport there, or did he unlock the cabinet with a key of his own? I don't know, but I still have the keys. I should probably leave them somewhere before we get out. Did we lock the cabinet the last time? Oh, you're right. I said I'd go to the attic and we never locked it. So he just brought it up. In fact, the Sekimeiya had moved twice before. Eren and I had found it in a cabinet in room B4, next to Naomi's moved body. In the future it had been in one of the lockers and it hadn't been Naomi's. We'd never seen which one was Kate's, so it might have been his. It was all tied together. When I had found the Sekimeiya in the staff room, there had been blood on the crystal floor. When Atsuki had seen that I was no longer sleeping, no yells had come from the opposite bedroom. But there was no way to make sense of it. Had the blood on the crystal floor disappeared at the same time as the Sekimeiya? Even if so, it was all far too volatile, and I didn't know what had happened while I'd been asleep. A very important question came to mind. In the bedroom, did you turn on the light? Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't know you were there. I mean later when you were already above. Hmm? No, I didn't. I'm confused by what you mean. I walked down and it seemed like you weren't there because I couldn't hear you. I did turn on the light to confirm it, but you were already gone. Is that what you meant? Yes, sorry. I thought someone might have turned them on after you came. I don't know. I didn't hear anything. I see. What the hell then? I don't even know if turning off the light in the upper bedroom would have turned it off where I was anyway. This doesn't make any sense. I sat on one of the chairs. I couldn't be too frustrated. The outcome had already been guaranteed. We'd soon make it out and she was probably going to magically revive. Oh fuck. I should leave the keys somewhere before we get out because they'll look at my purse. And there was one more thing that couldn't be found. It was fine. I just have to flush it down the toilet or something. I realized the contents of my purse could be seen from where it was on the floor, so I slowly moved it aside. Wait. Is it not here? I stared at my purse, baffled. Then I grabbed it and took the keys out. Yeah, I'll leave these somewhere. I'd rather not be asked about why I had them. I'm sure it'd be fine anyway. It wasn't there. In my purse were the keyring, the tickets we'd bought for the event, our identification, and our keys. Was it really taken while I was asleep? There's no way. Wait, no. I bet I know what happened. It disappeared, that's it. At some point, it must have disappeared from my purse and from this world. That's what's been happening. As Atsuki said, in this world, there's no remaining proof that she's dead. There's nothing else to care about. Knowing that, calmly waiting felt much more doable than before. I remained sitting on that chair, unable to hear anything beyond Atsuki's breathing. What exactly could be the proof that Shiroya is dead that she has in her purse? Don't tell me she collected like a body part. But that's like the only proof that you could possibly have, right? Nothing else would be proof. It was many minutes later when we heard the elevator for the third time. There it is. Let's see if we hear it again immediately. We did. Just a minute later the fourth came. Alright, let's go. Hopefully nobody sees us. I opened the door and Atsuki crouched to grab the Sekimeiya. How the fuck can it be this hot? It hurts to even get my fingers close to it. We heard an unexpected sound. Oh, what? We both listened more intently, and I could tell that we were hearing footsteps coming from the staircase leading down. Wait, it should be fine, right? What the fuck? What are you doing here? Sai saw me through the glass. Next to him was Akuro, even though his running hadn't been heard from inside. Atsuki, come here. I fucking see the Sekimeiya. What did you do? You didn't stop on this floor, right? Uh-huh. Don't be stupid. He has the Sekimeiya. He probably used it. Do you mean that I just took the elevator? Holy shit, man. Will this attitude stop? Why were you waiting here? You knew we'd go up, right? Was your idea to make us chase you to then touch the Sekimeiya and wait here to sneak back down? I didn't do any of that. He probably understood it. Another version of Atsuki had just used the elevator. That was why Sai was accusing him of having touched the Sekimeiya. However, while he probably thought it had been the version he'd spoken with, he was unaware of the other one who'd been on the crystal floor. What now then? What were you planning to do with that Sekimeiya? As I thought you're also in on this plan, right? Me? I don't even know what you're talking about. Even though fainter, we perceived the same sound. The elevator had just been used. That was the elevator, and I bet I know who that is. Who? Atsuki looked a little uncertain. There had been no mention of a fifth elevator sound. Who? The girl who I bet was supposed to meet with you two right now, after you'd made it down from here with the Sekimeiya. It's unfortunate you were too incompetent to handle such a simple plan. What? I'm being serious, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. What girl? I'm not sure what the idea behind this is, really. Were you actually able to open the storeroom door? Answer me, what girl? What even was her name, Akuro? Shiroya, right? The sixth time came. The elevator passed through our floor as Atsuki's eyes widened. He understood it immediately. She was already present. Oh fuck, she realized you hadn't come and went back up. Sai sprinted toward the third floor. Wait, stop! Akuro, go down and wait in front of the storeroom. You could have been sent empty. Akuro looked hesitant for a moment, but he followed Sai's order. In an instant, Atsuki and I were alone. What the hell? What do we do? We should put the Sekimeiya in the cabinet and stay on the crystal floor. That's what we were told. Alright. We ran behind Akuro. I looked down and saw that there was still no blood on the floor or the staircase. What? On the floor below the elevator panel, there was a folded piece of paper. Atsuki and Akuro were ahead of me, so they didn't see me grabbing it and putting it in my purse. Did it not disappear after all? Akuro was in the storeroom, but I just ran behind Atsuki, completely lost for words. How the hell had that made it there? The event room was empty. I opened the unlocked empty cabinet, and Atsuki left the Sekimeiya inside. That time he didn't forget to lock it. We left the Sekimeiya in the cabinet. We promised we don't know what you were talking about. Why did Sai say that it was Shiria who'd taken the elevator? That's the girl who died. Do you remember now? Did I not? Of course I do. She was in the elevator and then disappeared from the lobby. That's right, but she was here just minutes ago and said she was going to the attic. That's why Sai believes this is your doing. How many minutes ago? I don't know, quite a few, and you were here too with the Erina who disappeared. The Erina who died? Yes, she had her clothes caked with dried blood. You two took the elevator up just now. That meant that the person who had used the elevator the first time had been her, and the second time it had been Atsuki and Erina. I had met that version of Erina as well, and neither she nor Atsuki were the people we'd been with since the morning. That wasn't me. I'm being serious. He's right. We've been in the attic all this time and haven't seen anyone. That's not easy to believe. You were hiding in the partitions of the Sekimeiya. It wasn't us who brought the Sekimeiya up. We found it in the attic. We also weren't hiding in the partitions. We were searching them before coming back down. I don't know. I can't just assume you're lying after all that's happened. He is lying though in this case. Where are the others? Well, Kate should be in the security room, and I saw Erina and Isla hadn't left the crystal room they were in. While Atsuki opened the door to see the security room, I looked at the lobby. Naomi's corpse had returned there, and along with the policemen, they were lying on the floor in solitude. The wound on Naomi's head had stopped bleeding, so the pool below it had reached its limit. The status of the room had gone back to normal after having changed continuously. Was that the version the outside world would see? I looked to my right and saw Kate lying back on his chair in front of all the powered off screens. Oh, it's you two. It's been a while. Yes, we just came back from the attic. He wasn't dead below his desk, and it was clear he'd failed to fix the computer. How's this going? I stopped a while ago. I have no idea what the issue is, so I'll need other people to look into it. I see. When we opened the door in front, we saw the last two people. Isla was not lying face up inside a dark cabinet, but instead ogling one of the uncovered glass displays. Hello. Erina stood up after seeing the two of us. There was no blood on her clothes, and she seemed pretty tired. Did something happen? Oh no, we weren't sure if you were still here. We've been here the whole time. That's good. The time is getting closer. You said the Erina covered in blood was here too? Yes, she and the girl, the two dead bodies that disappeared. For a second I thought they'd been alive the whole time, but that couldn't be it. Wait, is that it? Could it be that they were genuinely brought back to life? But no, if another version of me existed, it must be something completely different. If that really wasn't you, then I'm really confused. According to him, that girl had been with us the entire day, since the morning. There's absolutely fucking nobody in the attic or anywhere. Really? Sai came from the stairs and entered the storeroom, all while I considered how strange that assertion was. Had he simply failed to find the others? Two different versions of Atsuki, the other Erina and her too. They all should have been there. Something else still didn't make sense either. By the way, what I also realized, during the past, few minutes, there's actually nothing to say that the story we were shown first, the version with Shiria alive, was actually the original timeline. It doesn't have to be. It could actually be the case that it was actually Shiria who died in the real time. This feels strange to say at this point, but just an assertion. The elevator had been used 2 more times after the 4th. We knew who had used it the first 4 times, and that everyone who should have been on the crystal floor was present. So who had taken the final 2 trips and gone above us? The door hasn't been opened again. Where's the Sekimeiya? In the cabinet. In the cabinet? Akro, don't you understand that their friend could be here? She could have taken it already.
Hey, I did what you said.
Offended, Sai hurried to the event room. Akro explained to us what happened. That wasn't me, and we don't want to take it out of here again. What did he say?
Both of them were sleeping in the attic and found the Sekimeiya there. Then they came down searching for every floor until we saw them.
Is that what we're supposed to believe? That the people who have the key to the cabinet conveniently found it where they were, and that instead of hurrying to bring it back, they looked through the entire building with it?
That's what happened.
Did you really not find anyone? Aren't you the one who says that I took the elevator up? Yes, I'm only one person though, so I couldn't really search optimally. But it is possible there was nobody to find if the 3 people who should have been there merely traveled with the Sekimeiya, which again you happen to have. I don't exactly know what happened, so what is it that you're accusing me of? I'm accusing you of trying to execute a plan that might involve getting the Sekimeiya out of the tower, of lying openly, and of working with that girl you know who didn't get trapped with us. I'm sorry, but I can't really take you seriously. I woke up a few minutes ago and have no idea what any of this is about. Since Akuro is backing you up, I guess it's true that the 2 missing bodies reappeared, but it seems they're gone again, right? Erina is with Isla 2 rooms over, and she totally looks okay. Also, I already said that I don't want to take the Sekimeiya out of here again. Sai approached Atsuki and touched his sleeves. Oh, it's working again, huh? Your shirt is burning. But we didn't activate it, and we never will. However, if it's true that I was here and said things that didn't make sense... You're right, I know that girl Shiria. She's an old friend of mine who died 2 weeks ago. I don't have any idea why she was here today or how that's possible. You just said that the storeroom door isn't open again, and the elevator was used 2 times, right? If it's true that they were here, they must still be. And I can guarantee it because we had the Sekimeiya and didn't use it. So we have to go find them. You were just one person looking around, so they could have dodged you. All of us together can find them. Then we'll work out exactly what happened. Let's go. Are you fucking serious? Now I'm sure. You're spewing an immense amount of bullshit out of that idiotic mouth of yours. I don't care how you did it, but you're right. They have to be here because the elevator was used again. I don't care if they traveled to the past or if they just avoided me. I had a theory ready that entailed Shiria waiting for the elevator sound on the 2nd floor and activating the Sekimeiya so that you'd all travel. After all, what's most strange is that the Sekimeiya was on the 2nd floor right after you took the elevator up. With all the waiting, you probably had a somewhat thought out plan ready. However, that hardly matters. What matters is that you're not getting a chance to take the Sekimeiya out again. Did you think we'd all just go looking now? You're not moving from here. And how will you enforce that? Don't you think Akuro easily could? Neither of you are leaving this room. Give me the keys too. I handed him the keyring, feigning a defeated face. Whatever the fuck you had planned with that girl won't happen as long as we stay here. Sai moved to hallway A and went to the storeroom. It seems she didn't take the sole chance she had to escape. I'm not letting the storeroom out of my sight again, so the police will definitely catch this person who's supposedly dead. At least one of them must be here between Shiria and Erina. However, it's probably both and they're not going to show themselves. The best thing is that there's no need to search for them. The Sekimeiya is shut in here, so they can't activate it to escape. The storeroom is out of the question too. They're basically trapped. It's currently 1932. There's no need to search for them. But don't worry, they'll be found as soon as the police enter the building. If you really do want that, you're not opposed, right?
I still think we should find them because I want to understand what happened. If you find them, you'll believe all that I'm saying.
I see. Then we'll go ahead and believe it after 2100, when 2 versions of you are found.
If that's what you want, I'm fine with that too. I suppose we can wait here. There's not that much time left.
Precisely.
I think that's for the best too.
It appeared it had been settled. After a few minutes, I was the first to sit on the floor, leaning on the dirty wall. Everyone in the room was silently on alert. Eventually, Sai's taunting attitude receded and he started to look doubtful. However, 2100 kept approaching at a steady pace, and nobody seemed against that. I wanted to get rid of the note in my purse, but I couldn't go to the bathroom to flush it away. When no one was looking at me, I stuffed it inside one of my shoes. The police would probably search us after we left, so my purse wasn't a good place to hide it. Kate left the security room and was told we were waiting together. For the last stretch of the day, he entered the dim room with us to maintain our protection of the Sekimeiya. By the way, what can really be written on that paper to prove Shiria's death? Nothing. It's not possible. No matter what the truth had been, our shared distrust was palpable. Anyone could have been lying the entire day. Perhaps after the police entered, we'd eventually learn all about what the people we'd gotten trapped with had done. I didn't think anything good could come out of it. After all, there was a killer in the room. Mia and Atsuki had been told by another Atsuki that as long as they stayed on the crystal floor, everything should turn out fine. The mystery behind the people who had gone to the attic. Nobody could be certain what had happened to them. Were they still in the tower, or had Sai failed to find them because they had vanished? It was possible that they were waiting near the event room. If that was the case, they would be found by the police. A few of the people in the room had similar thoughts. Should the less suspicious among them look for the others while everyone else waited in the event room? Given the amount of time left, it sounded risky and unnecessary. But Mia kept thinking about one thing. Well, we're at another turn off here. I actually want to look at it because I remember we still have one turn off. That we didn't do at some point. How do I find those again? Choice, please. This one. So maybe I'll actually go back to this one now before you go into that new one, because it may be the last one of chapter 2. Who knows? Now I can't actually remember which of those we did. Okay, I think we did the orange one to go find Sai. So let me look back. 10 interloping eyes. Let me get an overview of what happened before that, before we went to go look for Sai. Where was it? It must have been... Must be 14 then, I imagine. It's difficult to really get a good grasp of it. Policeman was found dead. I noticed people in the storeroom. We can't find anyone in the attic, so we all go to rest in the 2 bedrooms. Atsuki and I stay on the lower bed of the left one. Sai comes in and shows us a letter that he found in the kitchen. He leaves towards the living room. What was that letter he found? Where is Sai? There. Sir, I've done as you instructed, and I didn't spot any difference in the attic since Sin's last attack. I believe it wasn't targeted. I've finished this month's preservations, but some paint has begun to wear off, so next month I'll attempt to fix that on my own. Until then, thank you for your trust, and let me know if you have any new requests. Naomi. Okay. Okay, yeah, and then Sai did something that we weren't expecting, potentially. Okay. We'll stay in the bedroom. I just want to quickly explore this option before we go back to real time, I suppose. Stay. It might be a fairly short one. The huge mountain had a delicate structure. A single modification could collapse it beyond repair. To prevent that, the structure could be partially frozen. But that wasn't all. It could also be reshaped. reshaped in a way so that all would connect firmly and so that causality was maintained. Shiria and Atsuki stayed in the attic. Sai had gone to the crystal floor, but they didn't follow him down. Huh. Now that's interesting. That's very interesting. Because Shiria isn't supposed to be here in this timeline. Huh. Shiria let out a sigh. They had no strength left, so they kept resting, trying to ignore what was happening around them. Closing their eyes on top of a bed would quickly begin to allow them to temporarily divorce from reality, and no noise prevented it. Very soon, both of them had abandoned consciousness. For a long time, stillness persisted, and even if sound could have been sensed, there was none. Atsuki woke up. His mouth was dry, and the ceiling light shined brightly on his eyes. Soon, though, he understood why he was awake. Faint noises were sporadically reaching his ears. He looked down and saw Shiria sleeping very close to him, but he refrained from alerting her. His unconscious mind had taken the liberty of waking him upon the smallest perception, so he waited warily to see if he could discern what the noises were. However, the answer revealed itself. After some quiet seconds, Atsuki saw the door's handle turning, and once it had opened, a recognizable figure behind it. Atsuki, Shiria, come to the living room. I need to show you something. Immediately, after tossing out that mysterious request, Sai walked away. As Atsuki tried to process the almost surreal way in which Sai had shown up, Shiria's moaning made him turn to a waking face. Was that Sai? What did he want? Did you hear him? He told us to go to the living room, that he had something to show us, and went back there. What? Shiria yawned, but she couldn't help the intrigue. Sai had only called for both of them, and nobody from the opposite bedroom could be heard. Then, as he hadn't come back, they forced their tired bodies to stand up and attentively walk to the hallway. The door to the living room was closed. Atsuki opened it inwardly and hesitantly glanced in. Sai wasn't there. However, on the sofa, a recognizable shining egg lay, next to the many footprints that indicated someone had walked on that floor very recently. Sai, where the hell are you? Atsuki and Shiria slowly stepped forward, confirming that he was neither there nor in the staircase. The Sekimeiya, presented without context, must have been what Sai had wanted to show them. As Sai had seemingly vanished, both of them wondered whether he'd intended for them to activate it. That thought was denied when footsteps came from the hallway. Turning around, they saw Sai standing plainly in front of them. Well, there it is. I brought it here from the crystal floor. I brought it here from the crystal floor. It wasn't even well hidden. Is that so? He had found it. Nonetheless, what Atsuki and Shiria wondered was why he'd taken it there. I don't know how what I'm about to say will sound, but I think I have come to understand what this thing really does. Huh? The Sekimeiya, whatever it is, it can do much more than making one travel through time. I don't think I should just explain to you two. I've had time to learn how it functions and it's incredible. Atsuki and Shiria could hardly reply. Was Sai telling the truth? They'd found out the Sekimeiya had the power to make one travel back in time, but had they failed to notice the true extent of its capabilities? Speechless from the anticipation, they followed Sai to the hallway. He had picked up the gemstone without making direct contact with it. There, everyone was cold. Erina and Isla had fallen asleep. Akuro watched with concern, sitting on the lowest bed in the other bedroom. When everyone reunited in the hallway, Sai repeated the same thing he told Atsuki and Shiria. What the fuck does that mean? What else can the Sekimeiya do? Akuro was the first to react strongly to such an assertion. That's what I will show you. However, I have my reasons to not explain what I don't want to. Again, what the hell does that mean? It means that if, after this, you don't want to believe what I'm saying, it won't be my problem. What? Everyone was confused by Sai's attitude. What was he trying to accomplish exactly? However, I'll make sure you believe me. The Sekimeiya's powers are much greater than you think. Sai opened the door to the right bedroom. Just so nobody thinks I'm trying to pull something, you can check whether there's anything strange in this bedroom. What could there be? I don't know, but it's so that you don't try to find objections later. Even though nobody understood what exactly Sai was getting at, Shiria, Asuki and Akro followed his suggestion. Both levels of the bedroom were inspected and nothing stood out. Alright, good. It seems you're all eager to see what this thing can do. Unfortunately, you won't see it directly. The cameras aren't recording, so nobody will. Sai, still holding the glowing gem, took a couple of steps into the bedroom and left it on the floor. Then he approached the door and closed it from the inside. I will now lock the bedroom. From the other side of the door, Sai proceeded to set the chain. In the hallway, everyone exchanged dumbfounded looks. Lastly, Sai locked the door with its key, which he got from one of the drawers. I'm about to touch the Sekimeiya to travel to the past. Faint footsteps came from inside the bedroom, which very shortly ceased. The next thing they heard was a door opening behind them. There we go. Now the Sekimeiya is isolated inside. It'll do everything by itself. Sai had come from the opposite bedroom, where Atsuki and Shiria had been sleeping. I traveled a few seconds to the past, from room to room. What the fuck are you even doing? Atsuki, why don't you search me? Search you? Check that I have nothing on myself, for the same reason. Atsuki gave a sigh of frustration, but conceded. Aside from the personal belongings in one of his back pockets, Sai didn't have anything else. However, Atsuki noticed something. Is your watch not working? It isn't. It stopped working earlier, unfortunately, so we won't be able to measure the time. Anyway, I'm glad you're all following along. Now, Isla, mind telling me a number? A number? Why? You'll see. 9? 9? I was expecting a longer one, but that's fine. Shiria, say a letter. Uh-huh. C. Perfect. Now we have to wait. Wait for what? For the Sekimeiya to work. I bet you'd all assumed it had to be touched to activate it. No, I didn't assume that anymore.
I don't think any of us are following. What will the Sekimeiya do exactly?
Actually, I'm not completely sure myself. It can do anything, so we'll see. Sometime from now, it'll make a sound. That'll tell us it's worked.
Sometime from now? Nobody understood yet what Sai was talking about or why he was doing anything they were seeing.
It shouldn't take very long. If I'm right and understand how the Sekimeiya functions, it won't take many minutes.
Since it was clear that Sai wouldn't explain himself further, everyone decided to continue humoring him and waited. What kind of sound would the Sekimeiya make? Everyone's senses had sharpened, but meanwhile the silence was pure.
Oh, I didn't mention it, but obviously this door is now completely locked. Both the chain and the lock are in effect.
A couple minutes had gone by when Sai pointed out that part of the setup. He grabbed the handle and tried to open the door to demonstrate that it wasn't possible.
It doesn't matter much, but you can see that I'm not lying about this.
Atsuki repeated what Sai had attempted and confirmed that the door couldn't be opened.
So, currently we have no way to enter this route. Oh fuck, actually I might have overlooked something.
For the first time, Sai looked uncertain. He rapidly turned around and opened the opposite bedroom. When he came back, he had a key in his hand.
I forgot both bedrooms had a key. This one shouldn't work though, right?
Nobody was sure. Sai inserted the key into the keyhole and he couldn't turn it.
Alright, it doesn't work. Good, so the lock is effective.
After that brief interlude, the standby was resumed. It had been confirmed that they had no way to open the door, which told everyone that somehow it was going to open. Otherwise, the Sekimeiya would get stuck on the other side. How much longer are we gonna wait?
You don't have much patience, do you? We're waiting for magic to occur, and it's only been a few minutes. The exact time even I don't know.
It almost felt ridiculous, but they kept waiting, wondering if Sai was just messing with them. About 10 minutes had gone by.
There it is.
A metallic sound startled everyone but Sai. They stared at the locked door as it had come from behind it.
Hey look, didn't this change?
Everyone looked at Sai's palm. A key was on it, but everyone recognized it looked slightly different than it had moments prior. It wasn't the wrong one anymore. Are you just fucking with us? What, did the key appear in your hand out of nowhere?
No, Akro, that's not it. It modified the other key. That's one of the powers the Sekimeiya possesses. That sound was the cue that it did what I thought it would do.
Sai didn't give anyone else a chance to object. Opting to insert the key into the keyhole, he swiftly turned it and the door unlocked with a small click.
You remember the chain as well, right? Don't think that bypassing it is something the Sekimeiya isn't capable of.
Once the main lock had been removed, Sai pushed the door open. No resistance prevented him from doing so. The chain wasn't set anymore. As he kept slowly opening the door, everyone thought the same thing. Sai was putting on a show. Nobody knew why, but they'd come to understand him enough to be certain of that. Oh, there's a paper. When the entire bedroom came into view, so did the most important thing inside. On the floor where the Sekimeiya had been, there was only a square piece of paper. Isla, do you mind going to pick that up? Oh, it says 9C, doesn't it? Curious, she took tiny steps into the room. She bent down to grab the paper and turn it around. Then she read the black letters written on it. 9C, that's what it says. Is that it? Did the Sekimeiya hear the number and letter and it materialized that? Precisely. Atsuki tried not to laugh, not particularly because he found that unbelievable, but because of what Sai's entire charade had led to. He took the liberty of going to the second level, where he didn't immediately see the Sekimeiya either, nor anything of importance. You're all wondering where the Sekimeiya is, right? Don't worry, I'll tell you. After it does something that requires more power than usual, it teleports to its cabinet. I'm not sure why yet, but it's what I learned. You'll see, follow me. Sai exited the room. As his show hadn't ended, the rest followed him, still unsure how to feel. They walked to the crystal floor and entered the event room. When the cabinet was uncovered, they could clearly see what was inside. Not only that, but the cabinet was locked. There you have it, that's a glimpse of what the Sekimeiya can do. Why have you done all this though? Rather than being amazed, Atsuki asked what everyone had been wondering. Demonstrate all your misconceptions regarding the Sekimeiya. However, as I said, I didn't want to detail exactly how it works. That's why I did it in a way so that you could witness it without understanding it fundamentally. This thing possesses immense power and I can't reveal what I learned about it. We can't take it out of here again. You said you demonstrated all our misconceptions, but I can easily think of a way you could have done this by simply traveling to the past. How? Isn't it obvious? Now all you have to do is activate the Sekimeiya. If you really understand how it works, you can make it send you to the past and to the locked bedroom. There you'll leave the piece of paper and make the noise we heard. Before you enter, you'll touch the Sekimeiya and vanish from the room, once again to go to the past. That could be why you locked the door, so that we wouldn't open it immediately after hearing the noise. You definitely didn't prove that the Sekimeiya is able to materialize a piece of paper. It's true that after that it might have teleported from the attic to this cabinet. That's the most believable part of what you're claiming though. Sai looked surprised. How about this then? I'll never touch the Sekimeiya again, I promise that. You promise? Yes, as I said, we should leave it in this cabinet and never take it out until the shutter opens. If I never touch it, I can't do what you're speculating. What will you do then? Travel to the past without touching it? Maybe that's possible. No, you don't understand. I will never travel to the past again. Everything's already over and the Sekimeiya did it all. Listen, Atsuki, I can prove that what you said didn't happen. If it had, another version of myself would have to be somewhere in the tower right now. Let's confirm that version of me doesn't exist. Wait, Shiryu objected. I can think of another way, if we're supposed to believe what you're saying now. Another way? Underwhelmingly, what Sai had intended to be confirmation of the Sekimeiya's more extensive powers could be refuted in more than one method. It's possible you'll really never travel to the past again, but another version of you could. I remember when you made Atsuki and me go to the living room. Back then you weren't there and you appeared from the hallway. That might have already been another version of you. If you lured us out of the bedroom, your original version might have gone there to hide under the bed. From there you heard what we were talking about in the hallway and about 9C. It will be that version of you who will travel to the past and appear inside the bedroom, where you'll leave the note. Then you'll use the Sekimeiya to go back to the past again and you'll appear before us in the living room to play out the rest. Did you even hear me? If that's what happened, another version of myself should still exist somewhere. Let's see whether we can find them. Not necessarily. If when we saw the note the other version of yours got out from under the bed and hurried here, he could have already traveled to the past. You're pissing me off a little. How about this? That didn't happen either. And you can prove that. I'm not exactly sure what you did, but was it just to make us believe that you have a great understanding of the Sekimeiya and get us not to take it out of the cabinet again? Yes, you're not wrong about that. Well, I can give you a third way you could have accomplished this by just traveling to the past. Atsuki explained it with a casual voice. Like I said, what I could believe is that the Sekimeiya can teleport itself. If you really came to understand how that works. I remember when you claimed to have forgotten about the key to the other bedroom, but I don't believe you really did. That could have easily been an excuse to disappear from our sight. After all, you asked to be searched, but only before you entered the other bedroom. It's possible you got both keys from that room and initially only showed us one. However, it's also possible the Sekimeiya had teleported there. You touched it and went to the past to the right bedroom. You placed a note and touched the Sekimeiya before it teleported away. You went back in time and appeared in the second level of the left bedroom. This way, as soon as you entered it, the version of yours who'd already placed a note got out and you showed us the wrong key when you'd already done everything. Aren't you forgetting something? What? The noise. How would I have done that? Oh, I see. I said you traveled to the past before the Sekimeiya teleported away, which must have been before we heard the noise. However, there are two ways to do around this. One, the Sekimeiya teleported itself to the past after you made the noise. I would solve it, if it's possible. Two, the Sekimeiya teleported itself to the opposite bedroom and then back to the initial one. That's how you could have stayed there for longer and made the sound. How about this? That didn't happen either, you're just wrong. In fact, I really did overlook that the other bedroom had a key as well. That was not part of what I intended to do. I don't think so. Next it was Akaru who objected. After all, your silly trick ended with the wrong key transformed into the correct one. That couldn't have happened if you hadn't had the wrong key, meaning you knew from the start you'd go to the other bedroom to pick it up. God, that was not part of the plan at all. All I knew was that the right key would appear on me after the Sekimeiya sound. I didn't know it would transform the wrong one. That's very hard to believe. Shiraya had one last input. I bet the way you locked the room from the inside was part of your trick too. You set the chain and then locked the door with the key. That created the illusion that the Sekimeiya had unset the chain, but it could have been as simple as you unsetting it right after locking the door. It's not like we would have noticed. I actually didn't think about that. However, I didn't do it. I also bet the reason behind the we have to wait for the Sekimeiya to make a sound was so you could properly time whatever you did. You had to wait a specific amount of time for it to function. Incorrect. And you can prove all of this? Yes. How? By doing it again. Annoyed, Sai asked for the keys to the cabinet. Everyone was still intrigued, so they agreed to let him unlock it. He picked up the Sekimeiya without touching it with his skin and left the room. Let's go back up. You're going to do the same thing again? Can you not do it in the bathrooms? I can, but that's not as aesthetic. A few eyes rolled, but they followed Sai up to the attic. Once again, everyone was in front of the two bedroom doors. Atsuki entered the right one and checked the drawer. The key wasn't there. If the wrong key transformed into the right one, how come the original one isn't here? Because we can't have two of the same, dumbass. Come here. So that you don't think any other self of mine is hiding nearby, go ahead and verify that. You realize it could just appear after we search, right? That's fine. Eren and Isla saw the rest dispersing through the attic and shortly coming back, claiming not to have found anyone. Repeating his past movements, Sai stepped into the right bedroom and placed the Sekimeiya on the floor, close to the door. There he stood in silence. What are you waiting for? I'm thinking about the best way to do this so that you don't have 100 excuses later. He was in thought for a couple minutes, then looked composed. He walked to the door and closed it from the inside. I will only set the chain this time so that Shiraya abandons her idiotic idea. As Sai spoke, only one thought filled Atsuki's brain. I know what you want to do. He had purposely left Sai a way out by ignoring one last way in which he could have achieved the same result. Careful not to alert him, Atsuki walked to the light switch and turned off the light in the hallway. What he had in mind was very simple. Sai would fake his travel. He claimed to be about to touch the Sekimeiya to lock the room from the inside and appear outside. However, he wouldn't actually touch it. Instead, he would stay in the bedroom. That way he would hear what was being talked about in the hallway. At some point, after having written the note, he would touch the Sekimeiya and go minutes back to the past. He would appear somewhere in the attic and claim he'd just set the chain and traveled out of the room, when in reality he would have already left the note. Then he would ask for the specific number and wait out the time he'd spent in the bedroom before opening the door and finding the note. Alright, it's set. Now I'll touch the Sekimeiya and appear in the past, outside the bedroom. Atsuki gestured at everyone to keep quiet, and he'd also closed every other door in the hallway. By shutting off the light, he wanted to reveal Sai's trick. He looked down. From under the door, light was seen, as the bedroom was illuminated. However, what Atsuki had achieved was highlighting Sai's shadow. His body was blocking the light from going through the entire gap. That was how Atsuki intended to expose him. If that shadow didn't instantly disappear, he could prove Sai hadn't teleported out of the bedroom. Sai took 2 steps into the room, but his shadow was still acting as a barrier for the ceiling light. Atsuki wanted to verify Sai's bluff and quickly turned the light back on. That was because a future version of him must have been nearby after having already placed the note. If he could know what Atsuki was doing, it was possible his idea would retroactively fail. However, Atsuki was confident that would still prevent Sai from completing his setup without a hole. Like the last time, after 2 steps the sound faded. The Sekimeiya was on the floor but near the door. That meant that even though Sai had to crouch to activate it, his shadow would still be visible from the other side. Atsuki stared down. The gap was very thin and certainly not big enough to see through. As such, using Sai's shadow was all he could do. Sai's steps were purposely audible, however that time they took longer to cease and bigger gaps were between them. Before crouching, the shadow moved left and right as if in thought. It seemed like Sai was conscious of his movements. "I'm about to touch it." "Alright." But despite his confidence, Atsuki saw it unmistakably. The shadow disappeared in an instant. It hadn't moved away, it had vanished. Disconcerted, Atsuki still managed to react properly. He dashed to the light switch and turned it on. Instants later, the door to the living room opened. "Alright, I appeared here this time since we just came from the crystal floor." "Alright, let's do this again." Atsuki tried not to look frustrated, as Sai didn't seem to have noticed what he'd attempted. What Atsuki had tried made sense. He had assumed the least important part of Sai's show had been what the trick had relied on. However, he'd been incorrect. The only reason Sai had done that had been for the spectacle, to be able to claim that the Sekimeiya had unset the chain. In no way had that part been necessary to accomplish the result. It had not been a deception. Right after setting the chain and locking the door, Sai had touched the Sekimeiya and travelled to the past outside the bedroom. By doing that, he'd left both levels of the bedroom truly devoid of life. That was why Atsuki's very first solution had been that Sai would, in the future, travel to the past again and appear inside the right bedroom after it had been locked. Yet that was also wrong. To make that note appear, Sai wouldn't travel back to the bedroom. As a matter of fact, he hadn't done it before they'd seen it either. Incidentally, nobody had or ever would, as he'd worked alone. So he was more frustrated than he looked by the way Atsuki had acted. He hated feeling like someone was being superior to him. Sai approached the door and grabbed its handle. When he turned it, a chain prevented him from opening the door. "The chain is set, see? You didn't want me to also lock the door from the inside, so I'll do it from here." Sai made his left hand a fist and slowly opened it up as if it were a flower. A key was on his palm. "You're a clown." "Am I, Akaro? Because you seem very interested to figure out how exactly the Sekimeiya works." "What the fuck are you talking about?" Sai ignored him and inserted the key into the keyhole. Then he turned it. "Why are you locking the door if it's already locked from the inside?" "Because the chain provides a gap you can see through. I don't want anyone seeing how the Sekimeiya writes on a node." "Don't worry, this time I won't go anywhere. Let's do what we did before then. Isla, give me 3 numbers from 1 to 9. "Hang on, I'll give you 3 numbers." Atsuki didn't want to give him any way out. "That's fine by me." But Atsuki didn't open his mouth. Just like Sai, he formed one fist following with the other. Then he stuck out 2 fingers, next 6 and finally 9. Those had been his 3 numbers. "Oh, certainly, Atsuki. We can do it like this." Atsuki had done that to prevent something they'd mentioned earlier. If another version of Sai had appeared nearby, he could not have heard the numbers. All the doors were closed, so Atsuki's hands couldn't have been seen either. "Now do not speak about them or move in any way." Sai nodded as he smirked. "Do we also have to wait a random amount of time?" "A random amount of time? We'll see." Even if they weren't sure of the real reason, everyone next to Sai felt in some way that he was trying to deceive them. However, his attitude was beginning to feel imposing. Did he truly want to leave the Sekimeiya in the cabinet? That couldn't be. So then what exactly had he figured out? Atsuki had asked for silence so that his 3 numbers wouldn't be transmitted to anyone within reach. Because of that, everyone waited silently, and for longer than before. 10 minutes had gone by and everyone started to realize that they'd surpassed the previous endpoint. "54, 55, 56. Sai began to whisper very quietly so that only the people right next to him could hear him, puzzling them. 57, 58, 59, 17. I had to count internally since my watch doesn't work, but it's been 17 minutes since we began to wait. What? 17 minutes. 2 plus 6 plus 9. Remember when you said I'd waited an arbitrary amount of time to time everything properly? I'm glad I can now be certain I understand exactly how to use the Sekimeiya. Wait. What? Uh-huh. Yeah, 2 plus 6 plus 9 is 17. Earlier we waited 9 minutes, around that. Yeah. Okay. Sai inserted the key into the keyhole and unlocked the door. When he tried to push it open, the chain didn't stop him, as it was no longer set. The Sekimeiya unfastened the chain, right? Was it you? Are you my accomplice who helped me do this? If not, I'm open to alternatives. 6 pairs of eyes saw the identical scene. The Sekimeiya had disappeared and a small piece of paper had appeared on the floor. Isla walked up to it and picked it up. She showed it to the others. 29692926929. Okay, and the rest. The 3 numbers Atsuki had chosen filled up the entire surface of the paper. Attempting not to look flustered, he made his way to the second level of the bedroom, but there was nothing of importance to be seen. Like before, after it was done, the Sekimeiya produced that sound and teleported to its cabinet on the crystal floor. The second time, that claim was harder to believe, as they'd just come from there. On the way down, it was much more difficult for everyone to find an explanation for what Sai had done. When they arrived at the event room, they saw the same thing as before. We didn't even lock it after we took it out, right? Atsuki noticed the arrow on the side of the cabinet was pointing to locked. We didn't. It might be hard to take in, but the Sekimeiya did. That's why I intended to happen. Are you just fucking joking? What's this, a magical stone that can do anything? You thought it could only make one go back in time? Would that be much better? However, there's still the principal way in which you could have accomplished this that only requires you traveling to the past. Correct. It's possible that in the future I'll go back to the past and appear in the locked bedroom. Then I'll write that note and touch the Sekimeiya, which will send me farther to the past. But that will not happen. I purposely left this method possible so that you believe my intentions, that I sincerely don't want the Sekimeiya to be taken out of this cabinet again. That could go horribly. My wristwatch doesn't work anymore, and I don't know if I can fix it. We have no other way to look at the time. It'll be hard, but we'll spend every minute left together so that I can go to the past and explain this your way. Additionally, before that, we can search the whole tower to make sure the version of me that this method would have left behind doesn't exist. Once this happens, you will understand that there's no other way I could have done this but what I'm saying. This is only a glimpse of what the Sekimeiya is capable of. That I'm sure of. Nobody could find words to reply with, let alone object with. So, as Atsuki's way out still seemed to exist, they went with Sai's proposition. The 7 floors of Ashia Tower were inspected and nobody was found. Not any other self of Sai and not Naomi either. Before the search had started, Sai had taken the Sekimeiya out of the cabinet and brought it with them, so nobody could have used it in the meantime. What if, after touching the Sekimeiya in the bedroom, Sai would appear outside the tower? Not even that would explain everything, and it could be avoided as long as they stayed with him. So lastly, they had to wait. After locking the attic behind them, they sat on the floor of the event room. They positioned the curtain so that it wouldn't fall down, providing a constant view of the glass. The idea to save Mia didn't go anywhere. During the following hours, it was a surreal silence that everyone shared. There were no tricks left. The few times anyone had to go to the bathroom, it was made sure nothing else happened. Finally, they'd managed to wait until 2100, keeping the cold in the cabinet sealed. Noise came from the lobby. Without a doubt, the time had come. The police rushed in and found everyone sitting in the event room. They were hastily taken outside and put in a police car. Without hesitation, Ashia released a public statement. Nothing has been taken, everything is safe, including the Sekimeiya. However, word began to circulate in the underworld. Ashia are lying, they do not have the Sekimeiya, we do. We referred to Sin. The more that rumor extended, the more it strengthened as Sin continually stated they were in possession of the Sekimeiya. The general consensus of the appearance is right, pure white and shaped like an egg,
However, notice that Ashia haven't shown the Sekimeiya since the incident. Why do you think they haven't? It was a very fair question, which led everyone to be certain that once again Sin had outsmarted Ashia. Nonetheless, a new question shortly arose. Is Sin going to prove it? Weeks had gone by. Petitions to show the Sekimeiya bombarded Ashia, but reaching Sin wasn't as simple. Yet after the initial statements, neither party had proven their ownership of the Sekimeiya, and from one point onward, the Sekimeiya had become a myth. Neither Ashia nor Sin spoke again about the incredibly valuable gemstone they'd once claimed to possess. Only a handful of people were known to have witnessed the Sekimeiya by themselves during the time they'd been locked in Ashia Tower. However, after being talked to, none of them had valuable information to share. And still many people thought they knew the truth. Many people thought that something must have happened during the 12 hours they'd spent shut away with the mysterious Sekimeiya, whose whereabouts were unknown. After all, something must in fact have happened. Something that had caused the disappearance of a female staff member who wouldn't be seen ever again. Altered Dichotomy is this particular ending. It's an interesting one. We learned a lot about the Sekimeiya. Whether everything Sai had said is true or not, certainly things happened. We also learned that if actually no one was to touch it again, we would be able to leave the tower after 12 hours. So that is another interesting fact. Okay. And with that, we will go back to the last choice that we were presented with, which is next. Okay, let me scroll all the way down. This one we'll jump to here, but of course, the episode has gone on for a while. We'll go do that next episode. For now, hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks for doing so. I'll see you guys again next time. Till then, bye.